In this video, we're going to take a look at 5 of the craziest teenagers who were sentenced to life in prison. Some of these teens are absolutely devastated, while others couldn't care less. This video is not for the faint of heart, so be prepared to be blown away by the pure evil of some of these teens. Let's get started. Zachary Davis, a 15-year-old from Tennessee, viciously attacked his mother with a sledgehammer and attempted to set their home ablaze, with his older brother still inside. The debate around the young man's morality raged on in the courts, where some argued that he was a troubled individual struggling with some inner demons, and others argued that he was just pure evil. In a harrowing videotaped confession presented as evidence to the court, Zachary described in vivid detail how the disembodied voice of his father commanded him to commit murder, to take the life of his mother. When questioned by a detective about his motives for the attack, Zach answered that if given the opportunity to go back in time, he would still carry out the attack against Josh. At the trial, the jury was presented with Zachary's gripping television interview with renowned talk show host Dr. Phil McGraw.
Did you kill your mother?
Yeah.
And why did you kill her?
She wasn't taking care of my family.
As he recounted the events of that fateful day, a sinister chuckle escaped his lips, describing the size and weight of the sledgehammer he used in vivid detail. He then went on to articulate the exact sound that it made as it hit his mother's head, painting a gruesome picture. The justice system and 12 jurors faced a complex dilemma. Despite it being determined that Zachary had premeditated the murder of his mother, it was also evident that he was suffering from severe mental health issues. The jury, after 3 hours of intense deliberations, ultimately returned a guilty verdict for Zachary, condemning him to a life in prison. Gavin Smith, aged 18, was convicted of first-degree murder in December for the fatal shootings of his mother, stepfather, and 2 brothers. On December 13, 2020, the bodies were discovered by a worried family member at their Elkview home after not hearing from them for 4 days. Authorities established that the murders had taken place prior. At the start of his trial, prosecutors argued that Smith had killed his family in order to be with Rebecca Walker, his girlfriend at the time. Walker testified during the trial, claiming that she was on a video call with Smith when he had a gun and a knife. She further stated that she had encouraged him to take the lives of his family. At his trial, the defense argued that Smith had suffered from abuse in the home, which was evidenced by padlocks on the refrigerator. His lawyer maintained that Smith had made several attempts to escape, but received no help. In contrast, prosecutors pointed out that Smith had killed his family in an emotionless way, lifting a mattress to find and shoot his little brother.
Executed your mother and stepfather by shooting them in the head while they were asleep. Then you executed your 2 brothers by shooting them in the head, the youngest which was hiding under his crib.
Judge Ballard handed down a severe sentence to Smith for his crimes of first-degree murder, 3 consecutive life sentences, with mercy. In addition to this, Smith was given 40 years in prison for the 2 counts of second-degree murder, and an additional 10 years for the felony use or presentment of a firearm while committing the felony. Jonathan Perales was found guilty of capital murder for the fatal shooting of Michael Clay Robinson in October of 2017. The incident occurred when Perales intruded into Robinson's residence in Universal City, and a struggle ensued. Both men drew their handguns and exchanged gunfire. Robinson succumbed to his wounds and died while being treated for his injuries at the hospital. Perales took the stand and confessed that he fired the gun at Robinson, but that Robinson had shot first. He further stated that he was under the influence of Xanax and had no intention of harming anyone, but rather had been searching for something to steal.
I know it was his right to shoot at me, and I was in the complete wrong.
Perales testified that he had already been inside the Robinsons' house twice, attempting to move some items into his car when the family noticed that there was an intruder. Upon realizing this, Mrs. Robinson alerted her husband, who then quickly grabbed his Glock and yelled for the intruder to leave. Perales accidentally opened the bedroom door and, upon hearing gunfire, shot back.
Instinctively and just out of a reaction, I guess I fired 2 shots back.
After hearing the evidence presented in court, the jury deliberated for several hours before reaching the unanimous verdict of life in prison without the possibility of parole for Perales. No emotion was shown by Perales as he heard the sentencing, as he remained stoic and expressionless.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Jonathan Perales, guilty of capital murder.
On the 9th of May, 2021, 14-year-old Aiden Fucci was taken into police custody and charged with first-degree murder in the death of Tristan Bailey. Witnesses reported that Fucci had often talked about murdering people, and that he discussed a plan to drag an unsuspecting stranger into the woods and stab them. On the night of her death, a friend reported that Fucci had asked for Bailey's phone number and somehow convinced her to leave her home and meet him at a nearby residence. Video footage from one of the residences in the area shows two people believed to be Fucci and Bailey walking in the vicinity of a retention pond in the area. It was there that her body was later discovered. During Bailey's autopsy, a shocking number of stab and slash wounds were discovered, with 114 injuries found on her head, neck, shoulders, arms, hands, and back. The medical examiner noted that at least 49 of the wounds sustained by Bailey were classified as self-defense. Fucci was charged with first-degree murder after initially being arrested on the charge of second-degree murder in the death of Bailey. The case was upgraded to first-degree due to the extreme and unprovoked violence used in the crime. On March 24th, Judge R. Lee Smith of Florida's 7th Judicial Circuit issued a life sentence to Aiden Fucci for the heinous and cruel murder of Bailey. In his statement, Smith said,
"It was not done in a fit of uncontrollable anger. There was no reason. There was no purpose. It was done for no other reason than to satisfy this defendant's internal desire to feel what it was like to kill someone."
In 2009, 15-year-old Alyssa Bustamante shocked her rural hometown of St. Martins, Missouri, when she killed her 9-year-old neighbor, Elizabeth Olton, and buried her body in the woods. Alyssa had a reputation as a rebellious teen, but few could have predicted the horrific act she eventually committed. Alyssa's reasoning for her decision to kill was complex, yet straightforward. She wanted to understand what it truly felt like to take a life. Bustamante had been struggling with mental health issues for a significant period of time and had been diagnosed with major depressive disorder and borderline personality disorder. In court, Bustamante admitted to murdering Elizabeth Olton. Her defense attorneys argued that due to her difficult upbringing and personal struggles, she deserved leniency in sentencing. However, the judge ultimately decided to try her as an adult. In her initial court appearance on November 17, 2009, she entered a plea of not guilty to charges of first-degree murder and armed criminal action for using a knife in the murder. In January 2012, she accepted a plea bargain, which resulted in her being convicted of the lesser charges of second-degree murder and criminal action.
Accepting the offer was to avoid the absolute certainty of life without parole.
On the 8th of February 2012, Alyssa Bustamante gave a final statement before the judge handed down her sentence. "If I could give my life to bring her back, I would," she said. "I just want to say I'm sorry for what happened. I'm so sorry." Alyssa Bustamante was sentenced to life in prison. She'll be eligible for parole in 2054 when she's 60 years old. And that's it for today. We truly hope you enjoyed our video. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and share your thoughts with us in the comments. Be sure to hit subscribe if you don't want to miss any courthouse updates from this channel. We'll see you soon for an all-new case, so stay tuned until then.